This gap between knowledge and action is a fundamental challenge in behavior change. Recognizing this, Luby and his team took an innovative approach. They partnered with Procter & Gamble to supply the neighborhood with Safeguard soap. This wasn't just any ordinary soap, it was a premium product that provided a more enjoyable hand-washing experience. The soap foamed easily, allowing people to lather their hands with suds, and it had a pleasant scent. Suddenly, hand-washing became slightly more pleasurable. This strategy tapped into a powerful principle of behavior change: make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat behaviors that provide immediate, positive feedback. The pleasant sensory experience of using the Safeguard soap, the feel of the lather, the appealing scent created a small but significant reward for the act of hand-washing. The results were dramatic. Within months, the researchers observed a rapid shift in the health of children in the neighborhood. The rate of diarrhea fell by 52%, pneumonia by 48%, and impetigo, a bacterial skin infection, by 35%. These improvements in health outcomes were achieved not through complex medical interventions, but through the consistent practice of a simple habit made more enjoyable. Even more impressive were the long-term effects. When the researchers returned to some of the households in Karachi 6 years later, they found that over 95% of households who had been given the soap for free and encouraged to wash their hands still had a hand-washing station with soap and water available. The researchers hadn't provided any soap to the intervention group for over 5 years, yet the habit had become so ingrained that the practice was maintained. This long-term adherence to the hand-washing habit illustrates another critical aspect of behavior change: the power of habit formation. Once a behavior becomes habitual, it requires less conscious effort and decision-making. It becomes an automatic response to certain cues or situations. In this case, the residents had internalized hand-washing as a routine part of their daily lives, continuing the practice even years after the initial intervention. The success of this hand-washing initiative in Pakistan exemplifies what can be considered the fourth law of behavior change: make it satisfying. This principle asserts that we are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. It's a logical concept: feelings of pleasure, even minor ones, signal to our brain that a behavior is worth remembering and repeating. This principle isn't limited to hand-washing. We can see its application in various products and behaviors that have become widespread habits. Take chewing gum, for instance. While gum had been sold commercially throughout the 1800s, it wasn't until Wrigley launched in 1891 that it became a worldwide habit. Wrigley's innovation was to add flavors like spearmint and juicy fruit, making the product more enjoyable to use. They further enhanced the appeal by marketing gum as a way to refresh your taste, associating it with the pleasant feeling of a clean mouth. The success of flavored toothpaste follows a similar pattern. Manufacturers saw great success when they added flavors like spearmint, peppermint, and cinnamon to their products. These flavors don't actually improve the effectiveness of toothpaste in cleaning teeth. Instead, they create a clean mouth feel and make the experience of brushing teeth more pleasurable. This added satisfaction makes people more likely to maintain the habit of regular toothbrushing. These examples illustrate a fundamental truth about human behavior: what is rewarded is repeated, and what is punished is avoided. We learn what to do in the future based on what we were rewarded for, punished for in the past. Positive emotions cultivate habits, while negative emotions tend to destroy them. However, there's a crucial aspect to this principle that's easy to overlook. When we talk about making behaviors satisfying, we're not looking for just any type of satisfaction. We're specifically seeking immediate satisfaction. This is where we encounter a significant challenge in modern society: the mismatch between immediate and delayed rewards. To understand this mismatch, it's helpful to consider the environment in which the human brain evolved. For most of our species' history, we lived in what scientists call an immediate return environment. Imagine being an animal roaming the plains of Africa. Your decisions typically have an immediate impact. You're constantly focused on immediate concerns like finding food, avoiding predators, or seeking shelter. Your actions deliver clear and immediate outcomes. In contrast, modern society often operates in what's called a delayed return environment. Many of the choices we make today won't benefit us immediately. If we do a good job at work, we might get a paycheck in a few weeks. If we exercise today, we might see health benefits months or years down the line. If we save money now, it might secure our retirement decades in the future. This shift to a delayed return environment is relatively recent in human history, primarily occurring in the last 500 years or so. Compared to the age of the human brain, which has remained largely unchanged for about 200,000 years, modern society is brand new. Our brains evolved in an environment where immediate rewards were crucial for survival. And we still carry that hardware with us today. This mismatch between our brain's preference for immediate rewards and the delayed nature of many modern benefits creates significant challenges. It's one reason why we often struggle with behaviors that have long-term benefits but little immediate payoff. Saving for retirement, maintaining a healthy diet, or studying for future exams all require us to override our innate preference for immediate gratification. Understanding this mismatch is crucial for anyone trying to change their behavior or habits. It explains why it's often so difficult to maintain motivation for long-term goals, and why we're easily swayed by short-term pleasures even when we know they might not be in our best interest. So, how can we bridge this gap between our brain's desire for immediate satisfaction and the often delayed rewards of beneficial behaviors? One effective strategy is to find ways to add immediate positive feedback to otherwise unrewarding tasks. For instance, if you're trying to establish a habit of daily exercise, you might pair your workout with listening to your favorite podcast or audiobook. This way, even on days when you don't feel particularly motivated to exercise, you have the immediate reward of enjoying engaging content. Similarly, if you're trying to eat healthier, you might focus on finding nutritious recipes that are also delicious, providing immediate taste satisfaction alongside long-term health benefits. Another approach is to use a habit tracker or similar tool to provide immediate visual feedback on your progress. The simple act of marking off a day on a calendar or seeing a streak of successful days can provide a small but meaningful sense of accomplishment, helping to bridge the gap until the long-term benefits of your habit become apparent. It's also worth noting that while our brains may be wired for immediate gratification, we humans have a unique capacity for long-term thinking and planning. By consciously cultivating an appreciation for delayed rewards and regularly reminding ourselves of our long-term goals, we can gradually shift our perspective and find more satisfaction in behaviors that contribute to those goals. In conclusion, the story of the hand-washing initiative in Pakistan and the broader principles it illustrates offer valuable insights into human behavior and habit formation. By understanding the power of immediate satisfaction and the challenges posed by our delayed return environment, we can design more effective strategies for personal growth and societal change. Whether we're trying to improve public health, encourage better financial habits, or simply stick to our New Year's resolutions, making behaviors more immediately satisfying can be a powerful tool for positive change. As we navigate the complexities of modern life with our Stone Age brains, being aware of these principles can help us make better choices, form lasting habits, and bridge the gap between our actions today and our goals for tomorrow. By aligning our behaviors with both our long-term aspirations and our innate need for immediate satisfaction, we can create meaningful, sustainable changes in our lives and our world. In our quest for self-improvement and personal growth, we often find ourselves grappling with a peculiar challenge: the disconnect between our long-term aspirations and our short-term actions. This phenomenon, known as time inconsistency, is a fundamental aspect of human behavior that has far-reaching implications for our daily lives and long-term success. At its core, time inconsistency refers to our brain's tendency to value immediate rewards more highly than future benefits. This bias towards instant gratification is deeply ingrained in our neural circuitry, a remnant of our evolutionary past when immediate survival took precedence over long-term planning. In most situations, this inclination serves us well. After all, a reward that's certain and available right now is typically more valuable than one that's merely possible in the future. However, this same tendency can sometimes lead us astray, particularly in the modern world where many of our most important goals require sustained effort and delayed gratification. This misalignment between our immediate desires and our long-term objectives is at the heart of many of our struggles with habit formation and behavior change. Consider, for instance, the paradox of harmful behaviors like smoking, overeating, or engaging in unsafe sex. Most people are well aware of the potential long-term consequences of these actions. We know that smoking increases the risk of lung cancer, that overeating can lead to obesity and associated health problems, and that unsafe sex can result in sexually transmitted diseases. Yet, Despite this knowledge, many individuals continue to engage in these behaviors. The reason for this apparent contradiction becomes clear when we understand how our brain prioritizes rewards. The consequences of these harmful habits are often delayed, sometimes by years or even decades. In contrast, the rewards are immediate and tangible. Smoking might increase your risk of cancer in the future, but it reduces stress and satisfies nicotine cravings now. Overeating may lead to health problems down the line, but it provides immediate pleasure and satiation. Unsafe sex might result in disease later, but it offers instant gratification. This pattern isn't limited to harmful habits. In fact, it's a characteristic of virtually all habits, both good and bad. Every habit produces multiple outcomes across time, but these outcomes are often misaligned. With detrimental habits, the immediate outcome is usually pleasurable, while the ultimate outcome is negative. Conversely, with beneficial habits, the immediate experience is often unenjoyable, but the long-term results are positive. Take exercise, for example. The immediate experience of working out can be uncomfortable, even painful. Your muscles ache, you're out of breath, and you might prefer to be relaxing on the couch. However, the long-term benefits of regular exercise, improved health, increased energy, better mood are substantial. The challenge lies in overcoming the immediate discomfort to reap these future rewards. This misalignment of outcomes across time creates a significant hurdle for behavior change. When we make plans to improve ourselves, whether it's losing weight, writing a book, or learning a new language, we're essentially making plans for our future selves. In these moments of planning, it's easy to see the value in actions that have long-term benefits. We all want better lives for our future selves, after all. However, when the moment of decision arrives, we're no longer choosing for that idealized future self. Instead, we're choosing for our present self, who craves comfort, pleasure, and immediate satisfaction. This is why relying solely on good intentions is rarely effective for long-term behavior change. The brain's bias towards the present moment is simply too strong. Understanding this tendency can help explain many of the seemingly irrational choices we make in our daily lives. It's why we might choose to watch TV instead of studying, even though we know studying will lead to better grades. It's why we might grab fast food instead of cooking a healthy meal, even though we're trying to eat better. In each of these moments, the allure of immediate gratification overpowers our longer-term goals. This preference for instant gratification reveals an important truth about success. Most people spend their days chasing quick hits of satisfaction. The path less traveled is the road of delayed gratification. If you're willing to wait for rewards, you'll often face less competition and potentially reap greater benefits. As the saying goes, the last mile is always the least crowded. Research consistently supports this idea. Studies have shown that individuals who are better at delaying gratification tend to have higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, better responses to stress, and superior social skills. We've all observed this play out in our own lives. The student who resists the temptation to procrastinate and completes their assignments on time generally achieves better grades. The individual who forgoes purchasing junk food at the grocery store often maintains a healthier diet at home. At some point, success in nearly every field requires the ability to ignore an immediate reward in favor of a delayed, but ultimately more significant reward. This is true whether you're an athlete training for a competition, an entrepreneur building a business, or a writer working on a novel. The ability to delay gratification is a crucial skill for achieving long-term success. However, it's important to note that while delaying gratification is often the wise approach, it's not always easy or intuitive. Our brains are not naturally wired for long-term thinking, and constantly fighting against our instincts for immediate reward can be exhausting and unsustainable. So how can we work with our brain's tendencies rather than against them? The key lies in finding ways to make delayed gratification more appealing and immediate. Here are some strategies that can help. 1. Add immediate pleasure to long-term beneficial habits. Find ways to make habits with delayed rewards more immediately enjoyable. If you're trying to exercise more, pair your workout with listening to your favorite podcast or audiobook. This way you get an immediate reward enjoying the content along with the long-term benefits of exercise. 2. Add immediate consequences to harmful habits. Similarly, try to associate immediate, small negative consequences with habits you're trying to break. If you're trying to cut back on social media use, for example, you could commit to doing 10 push-ups every time you catch yourself mindlessly scrolling. 3. Use visual cues and tracking. Our brains respond well to visual feedback. Use habit trackers or charts to give yourself an immediate sense of accomplishment when you stick to a good habit. The satisfaction of marking off a day on a calendar can be a powerful motivator. 4. Create artificial milestones. Break long-term goals into smaller, more immediate targets. If you're saving for a big purchase, celebrate hitting smaller savings milestones along the way. 5. Practice mindfulness and visualization regularly. Take time to vividly imagine the long-term benefits of your good habits. This can help make those future rewards feel more real and immediate. 6. Use commitment devices. These are strategies where you make it more difficult or costly to engage in bad habits. For example, you might give a friend money to hold and only return if you meet your goal. 7. Reframe the immediate experience. Instead of focusing on the discomfort of a challenging habit, try to find aspects of the immediate experience to appreciate. For example, instead of dwelling on the physical strain of exercise, focus on the sense of accomplishment or the endorphin rush. 8. Create a reward system. Set up a system where you give yourself small, immediate rewards for sticking to your long-term habits. These rewards don't have to be large or costly. The key is that they're immediate and consistently applied. One particularly effective strategy is to turn instant gratification to your advantage by using a technique called reinforcement. This involves providing yourself with an immediate reward for completing a desired behavior. The key here is to make the reward instant and directly tied to the habit you're trying to build. For example, if you're trying to build a habit of daily meditation, you might reward yourself with a small piece of dark chocolate immediately after each session. The taste of the chocolate becomes an immediate, positive reinforcement for your meditation practice. Over time, your brain begins to associate meditation with this pleasant reward, making it easier to stick to the habit. This approach can be especially helpful when dealing with habits of avoidance behaviors you want to stop doing. It can be challenging to feel satisfied when you're simply not doing something, like not buying unnecessary items or not drinking alcohol. In these cases, you can create a system that makes the avoidance visible and rewarding. For instance, you could open a savings account labeled for something you want, like dream vacation or new guitar. Every time you successfully avoid a temptation, say, not buying that unnecessary gadget or skipping that expensive night out, you transfer the money you would have spent into this account. This way, you're turning the act of not doing something into a positive, but visible action. You're essentially creating a loyalty program for yourself, where your points accumulate towards something you genuinely want. This strategy not only provides immediate satisfaction but also helps to reframe the experience of avoiding temptation. Instead of feeling deprived, you feel like you're actively working towards a goal. The immediate reward of seeing your savings grow feels much better than the nebulous sense of having resisted a temptation. It's worth noting that while these strategies can be highly effective, they're not magic bullets. Changing ingrained habits and overcoming our natural bias towards immediate gratification is a challenging process that requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. It's normal to struggle and occasionally give in to temptation. The key is to view these moments not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and adjust your approach. Moreover, it's crucial to remember that delayed gratification isn't always the right choice. Sometimes, immediate experiences are valuable in their own right. The key is to find a balance that aligns with your values and long-term goals while still allowing for present enjoyment. In conclusion, understanding the concept of time inconsistency and our brain's bias towards immediate rewards can be a powerful tool in our quest for personal growth and habit formation. By acknowledging this aspect of our nature, we can design strategies that work with our brain's tendencies rather than against them. Whether it's adding immediate pleasures to beneficial habits, creating visible rewards for avoidance behaviors, or using reinforcement techniques, these approaches can help bridge the gap between our present actions and our future aspirations. Ultimately, the ability to delay gratification and work towards long-term goals is a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time. It's a journey of self-discovery and continuous improvement, one that requires patience, creativity, and a deep understanding of our own motivations and tendencies. By mastering this skill, we open ourselves up to greater achievements, deeper satisfaction, and a life more closely aligned with our true values and aspirations. The path may not always be easy, but the rewards, both immediate and long-term, make it a journey worth undertaking. In the pursuit of personal growth and self-improvement, we often find ourselves grappling with the challenge of maintaining good habits. We start with enthusiasm, determined to make positive changes in our lives, but as time passes, our resolve can waver. The key to lasting change, it turns out, lies not just in willpower or motivation, but in the way we approach habit formation itself. By understanding the psychology behind habit formation and employing strategic techniques, we can dramatically increase our chances of success. One of the most powerful tools in this journey is the concept of making habits satisfying. This idea is rooted in the fundamental principle that we are more likely to repeat behaviors that provide immediate rewards. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, and this instinct plays a crucial role in shaping our habits. However, there's a catch. Many of the habits we want to cultivate, like exercising regularly, eating healthily, or saving money, don't provide immediate gratification. Their benefits are often delayed, sometimes by months or even years. This delay can make it challenging to stick with these habits, especially when we're faced with more immediately rewarding alternatives. To overcome this challenge, we need to find ways to make our desired habits more immediately satisfying. This doesn't mean compromising on our long-term goals, but rather finding ways to bridge the gap between the present action and the future reward. One effective strategy is to create a system of short-term rewards that align with your long-term goals. For instance, if you're trying to exercise more, you might reward yourself with a relaxing bath or an episode of your favorite show after each workout. The key is to choose rewards that reinforce your desired identity rather than conflicting with it. If your goal is to improve your health, rewarding yourself with unhealthy food after exercising would be counterproductive. Instead, choose rewards that align with your vision of becoming a healthier person. This approach of aligning short-term rewards with long-term goals can be applied to virtually any habit you're trying to build. If you're aiming to read more, you might allow yourself to buy a new book only after finishing your current one. If you're trying to save money, you could allocate a small portion of your savings to a fun fund that you can spend guilt-free once you reach certain milestones. The power of this strategy lies in its ability to tap into our brain's reward system. By providing immediate positive reinforcement, we're training our brains to associate the habit with pleasure. Over time, this association can make the habit itself more enjoyable, reducing our reliance on external rewards. Another powerful technique for making habits stick is the use of visual tracking systems. This approach, sometimes called the paperclip strategy, involves creating a tangible representation of your progress. The name comes from a story about a young stockbroker who used 2 jars of paper clips to track his daily sales calls. Each time he made a call, he would move a paper clip from one jar to another. This simple act provided a clear, visual measure of his progress, which proved to be incredibly motivating. The beauty of this strategy lies in its simplicity and flexibility. You can adapt it to virtually any habit you're trying to build. For example, if you're trying to write a book, you might move a marble from one jar to another for each page you complete. If you're aiming to increase your daily step count, you could use a similar system to track your progress. These visual tracking systems work on multiple levels. First, they provide immediate satisfaction. The act of moving a paperclip or marking an X on a calendar gives you a small sense of accomplishment, which can be particularly motivating on days when you might not feel like sticking to your habit. Second, they make your progress visible. On days when you're feeling discouraged, you can look at your tracker and see how far you've come, which can provide the motivation to keep going. Perhaps the most comprehensive form of visual tracking is the habit tracker. This tool, which can be as simple as a calendar where you mark off each day you complete your habit, has been used by many successful individuals throughout history. Benjamin Franklin famously used a small booklet to track 13 personal virtues, while comedian Jerry Seinfeld is known for his don't-break-the-chain approach to writing jokes every day. Habit tracking is powerful because it leverages multiple principles of behavior change simultaneously. It makes the habit obvious by providing a visual cue, attractive by showcasing your progress, and satisfying by giving you a sense of accomplishment each time you mark off a day. Moreover, habit tracking keeps you honest. Many of us have a tendency to overestimate how consistently we perform our habits. By keeping a record, we're forced to confront the reality of our behavior. This awareness alone can be a powerful motivator for change. The effectiveness of habit tracking has been demonstrated in numerous studies. Research has shown that people who track their progress on goals like losing weight, quitting smoking, and lowering blood pressure are more likely to succeed than those who don't. One study found that individuals who kept a daily food log lost twice as much weight as those who didn't track their eating habits. However, it's important to note that while tracking can be a powerful tool, it's not without potential pitfalls. One risk is becoming too focused on the act of tracking itself, rather than the underlying behavior you're trying to change. Remember, the tracker is a tool to support your habit, not the goal itself. Another potential issue is the risk of breaking the chain. Missing a day on your tracker can be discouraging, and some people might be tempted to give up entirely after a slip-up. It's crucial to remember that consistency matters more than perfection. If you miss a day, simply pick up where you left off. The goal is progress, not perfection. As you continue with your habit, you may find that the external rewards and tracking systems become less necessary. This is a natural and positive progression. Over time, the habit itself can become intrinsically rewarding. For example, someone who starts exercising for weight loss might initially need external motivators, but over time they may come to enjoy the energy boost and sense of accomplishment that comes with each workout. This shift from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation is a sign that the habit is becoming ingrained in your identity. When you reach this point, you're no longer just someone trying to exercise more, you've become someone who exercises regularly. This identity-based approach to habit formation can be incredibly powerful and sustainable. However, reaching this point takes time and consistency. In the meantime, don't hesitate to use whatever tools and strategies help you maintain your habit. Whether it's a paper-clip system, a habit tracker, or carefully chosen rewards, these techniques can provide the bridge you need to get from where you are to where you want to be. It's also worth considering how you can make the habit itself more enjoyable. This might involve finding ways to make the process more pleasant or combining the habit with activities you already enjoy. For instance, if you're trying to establish a running habit, you might listen to your favorite podcasts or audiobooks while you run. If you're aiming to cook more healthy meals at home, you could turn cooking into a social activity by inviting friends over or taking a cooking class. Remember, the goal is to create a positive feedback loop where the habit reinforces itself. By making the habit satisfying in the short term, you increase the likelihood that you'll stick with it long enough to reap the long-term benefits. As you embark on your journey of habit formation, it's important to be patient with yourself. Changing ingrained behaviors takes time, and setbacks are a normal part of the process. Each day is an opportunity to reinforce your desired identity and move closer to your goals. Moreover, don't underestimate the power of small wins. Consistently performing a small habit can lead to significant changes over time. Whether you're moving paper clips marking XS on a calendar or using a more sophisticated tracking system, each small action is a vote for the person you want to become. In conclusion, the key to sticking with good habits lies in making them satisfying. By providing immediate rewards, using visual tracking systems, and gradually shifting towards intrinsic motivation, we can bridge the gap between our present actions and our future goals. Remember, the most effective form of motivation is progress. By making your progress visible and rewarding, you create a positive feedback loop that can sustain your habits over the long term. As you apply these strategies, you may find that building good habits becomes not just easier, but enjoyable. And that, perhaps, is the greatest satisfaction of all, the realization that you're not just doing things differently, but becoming the person you aspire to be. So start small, track your progress, celebrate your wins, and watch as your habits transform not just your actions, but your identity. In the quest for personal growth and self-improvement, we often find ourselves grappling with the challenge of maintaining good habits. While starting a new habit can be exciting, the real test lies in consistently following through day after day, week after week. This is where the power of habit tracking comes into play, offering a simple yet effective tool to reinforce positive behaviors and keep us on track towards our goals. Habit tracking, at its core, is about making progress visible. It's a way of creating a tangible record of our efforts, transforming abstract goals into concrete actions. This visibility serves multiple purposes, each contributing to the overall effectiveness of the habit-building process. First and foremost, tracking creates a visual cue that reminds us to act. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget or postpone the habits we're trying to build. A habit tracker, whether it's a simple calendar with X's marking completed days or a more elaborate system, serves as a constant reminder of our commitments. It's a gentle nudge prompting us to take action when we might otherwise let things slide. But the power of habit tracking goes beyond mere reminders. It taps into our innate desire for progress and achievement. As we mark off each successful instance of our habit, we create a streak. This streak becomes a source of motivation in itself. We see the progress we're making, and we don't want to break the chain. This phenomenon, sometimes called the don't break the chain method, has been used by successful individuals across various fields, from comedians to writers to athletes. The satisfaction of recording our progress is another key benefit of habit tracking. There's a small but significant sense of accomplishment that comes from crossing an item off a to-do list or marking an X on a calendar. This feeling of satisfaction is immediate and tangible, providing a quick hit of dopamine that reinforces the behavior. In essence, the act of tracking becomes its own reward, making the habit more likely to stick. Moreover, habit tracking shifts our focus from the end result to the process itself. When we're trying to build a new habit, it's easy to get discouraged if we don't see immediate results. For instance, if you're trying to lose weight, you might get frustrated if the number on the scale doesn't change as quickly as you'd like. But by tracking your workouts or healthy meals, you're focusing on what you can control, your daily actions, rather than the outcome, which can be influenced by many factors beyond your control. This focus on process over outcome is crucial for long-term success. It helps us build a new identity, casting votes for the type of person we want to become with each action we take. Every time we mark off a completed habit, we're not just recording an action, we're reinforcing a belief about ourselves. We're saying, I'm the type of person who doesn't miss workouts, or I'm a writer who writes every day. Over time, these small actions and the beliefs they reinforce can lead to significant changes in our self-image and, consequently, our behavior. Despite these benefits, many people resist the idea of habit tracking. It can feel like an additional burden, adding another task to our already busy lives. Some worry that it will take too much time or that they'll forget to do it. Others may feel that it's unnecessary, that they should be able to remember to do the habit without needing to track it. These concerns are valid, but they often overlook the long-term benefits of tracking in favor of short-term convenience. While it's true that tracking requires some effort, this investment of time and energy can pay significant dividends in terms of habit adherence and personal growth. That said, it's important to approach habit tracking in a way that works for you. If the idea of manually recording every instance of a habit feels overwhelming, look for ways to automate the process. Many of us are already tracking various aspects of our lives without realizing it. Credit card statements track our spending habits, fitness trackers record our physical activity, and calendar apps log our appointments and commitments. By leveraging these existing data sources and setting up regular review periods, we can gain insights into our behavior without adding much additional work. For habits that do require manual tracking, it's often best to focus on just one or two key behaviors rather than trying to track everything at once. Choose the habits that are most important to you or that you're struggling with the most. By limiting your focus, you increase the likelihood of consistent tracking. Another key to successful habit tracking is to record each instance of the habit immediately after it occurs. This approach, combined with habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one, can make tracking feel more natural and less of a chore. For example, you might decide to record your workout immediately after putting away your gym bag, or log your meditation session right after turning off your meditation app. While consistent tracking can be incredibly powerful, it's important to remember that perfection is not the goal. Life is unpredictable, and there will inevitably be times when our habits get disrupted. The key is not to let these disruptions derail you completely. One powerful principle to keep in mind is never miss twice. If you slip up and miss a day, the most important thing is to get back on track as quickly as possible. Missing once is an accident, missing twice is the start of a new habit. By recommitting to the habit immediately after a slip-up, you prevent a temporary setback from turning into a permanent abandonment of your goals. This principle of quick recovery is a distinguishing feature of successful individuals across various fields. Everyone has bad days or periods of lower performance. What sets high achievers apart is their ability to rebound quickly from these setbacks. They understand that the occasional bad day or missed habit is far less important than the overall trend of their behavior. In fact, showing up on the days when you don't feel like it or can't perform at your best can be even more important than the days when everything goes smoothly. These bad days maintain the compound gains you've accrued from previous good days. Even if you can't do the habit as thoroughly or effectively as you'd like, doing something is always better than doing nothing. It's about maintaining momentum and reinforcing your identity as someone who follows through on their commitments. This approach also helps avoid the all-or-nothing mindset that can be so detrimental to habit formation. Too often, people fall into the trap of thinking that if they can't do something perfectly, they shouldn't do it at all. This black and white thinking can lead to giving up entirely after a small setback. By embracing the idea that something is always better than nothing, we can maintain consistency even when circumstances aren't ideal. While habit tracking can be a powerful tool, it's important to ensure we're tracking the right things. Sometimes, the most obvious or easiest to measure metrics aren't necessarily the most meaningful. For example, if you're trying to improve your diet, simply tracking calories might not give you the full picture. You might be hitting your calorie goals but not getting proper nutrition. In this case, tracking the number of whole, unprocessed foods you eat each day might be more beneficial. Similarly, if you're trying to improve your productivity at work, tracking hours worked might not be as useful as tracking the number of important tasks completed. The key is to choose metrics that truly align with your goals and provide meaningful feedback on your progress. It's also worth noting that not all habits need to be tracked indefinitely. Sometimes tracking is most useful in the early stages of habit formation when we're still establishing the behavior. Once the habit becomes more ingrained, we might be able to ease off on tracking without losing the habit itself. The goal, ultimately, is for the behavior to become so automatic that we no longer need external reinforcement to maintain it. In conclusion, habit tracking is a powerful tool in the quest for personal growth and behavior change. By making our progress visible, providing immediate satisfaction, and shifting our focus to the process rather than just the outcome, tracking can significantly increase our chances of successfully building new habits. However, like any tool, its effectiveness depends on how we use it. By choosing meaningful metrics, focusing on consistency rather than perfection, and using tracking as a means to reinforce our desired identity, we can harness the full potential of this approach. Remember, the goal isn't just to check boxes or create perfect streaks. It's to gradually shape ourselves into the person we want to become. Each tracked instance of a habit is a vote for that future self. Over time, these small votes can lead to profound changes in our behavior, our self-image, and ultimately our lives. So whether you're trying to exercise more, eat healthier, write daily, or any other positive habit, consider incorporating tracking into your approach. Start small, be consistent, and don't be discouraged by occasional setbacks. With patience and persistence, you may find that the simple act of tracking your habits becomes a transformative force in your journey of self-improvement. In the realm of behavior change and habit formation, we often focus on positive reinforcement and making good habits more attractive. However, there's another powerful tool in our arsenal making bad habits immediately unsatisfying. This approach, while less discussed, can be incredibly effective in curbing unwanted behaviors and promoting positive change. The concept is rooted in our innate tendency to avoid pain and discomfort. Just as we're more likely to repeat experiences that end on a satisfying note, we're equally inclined to avoid experiences that conclude with discomfort or pain. This principle can be harnessed to great effect in our quest for self-improvement and behavioral change. Consider the story of Roger Fisher, a Harvard Law School professor who specialized in negotiation and conflict management. In the 1970s and 1980s, as the threat of nuclear war loomed large, Fisher proposed an unconventional idea to prevent hasty decisions about nuclear launches. He suggested implanting the nuclear launch codes in a volunteer's chest right next to their heart. The president, if ever deciding to launch nuclear weapons, would first have to physically kill this volunteer to access the codes. Fisher's proposal, while extreme, illustrates a profound point about human behavior. By making the act of launching nuclear weapons viscerally and immediately painful, it would force decision-makers to confront the reality of their actions in a way that abstract numbers and distant consequences never could. The immediacy and personal nature of the pain would serve as a powerful deterrent. This principle extends far beyond hypothetical scenarios about nuclear war. It applies to our everyday lives and habits in numerous ways. Pain, both physical and emotional, is an incredibly effective teacher. When failure or mistakes result in immediate and tangible pain, we're quick to learn and adapt. This is why a plumber strives for excellence in their work. The threat of a bad review or lost business is an immediate and costly consequence of poor performance. Similarly, restaurants maintain high standards because the possibility of customers never returning is a constant, immediate threat. In fields where the stakes are even higher, such as surgery, the immediate and severe consequences of mistakes drive professionals to master their craft with utmost precision. The cost of cutting the wrong blood vessel is so high and immediate that surgeons are motivated to achieve exceptional levels of skill and care. The key here is the immediacy of the consequence. When the pain or cost of an action is delayed, it's easier to ignore or discount. This is why many harmful habits persist. The negative consequences are often far removed in time from the behavior itself. Smoking might lead to lung cancer, but not immediately. Overeating doesn't instantly result in obesity. The delay between action and consequence makes it easier for us to persist in behaviors we know are harmful in the long run. To leverage this principle for positive change, we need to find ways to make the consequences of bad habits more immediate and tangible. This could involve creating artificial consequences or finding ways to bring long-term effects into the present moment. For instance, some people use apps that donate money to causes they dislike every time they break a commitment to exercise. The immediate financial pain serves as a powerful motivator. However, it's crucial to note that for this approach to be effective, the strength of the consequence must match the relative strength of the behavior it's trying to correct. A minor inconvenience won't be enough to deter a deeply ingrained habit. The cost of procrastination must outweigh the perceived benefit of putting things off. The discomfort of exercise must be less than the pain of remaining sedentary. Moreover, the consequences need to be reliably enforced. Inconsistent enforcement can lead to a gambling mentality where individuals take chances on avoiding punishment. This is why consistent, immediate feedback is so crucial in habit formation and behavior change. One effective way to implement this strategy is through the use of habit contracts. A habit contract is an agreement you make with yourself or others that spells out the consequences of failing to stick to a desired behavior. These contracts can be particularly powerful when they involve other people, adding a layer of social pressure and accountability. For example, you might create a contract with a friend stating that if you don't go to the gym 3 times a week, you have to pay them $50. Or you could agree to perform an unpleasant chore if you fail to meet your writing goals for the week. The key is to make the consequence immediate and unpleasant enough that you're motivated to avoid it. Habit contracts work because they bring the pain of failure into the present moment. Instead of worrying about abstract long-term consequences, you're faced with a concrete, immediate cost for not following through. This immediacy can be a powerful motivator, especially in the early stages of habit formation when the long-term benefits aren't yet apparent. However, it's important to use this strategy judiciously. While making bad habits painful can be effective, it's not always the most sustainable or healthy approach in the long term. Ideally, as you progress in your habit formation journey, you should be able to transition from avoiding pain to seeking pleasure in the habit itself. Moreover, it's crucial to strike a balance. If the consequences you set for yourself are too severe, you might find yourself avoiding the situation entirely rather than facing the possibility of failure. The goal is to create enough discomfort to motivate change, but not so much that it becomes paralyzing. Another consideration is the potential for unintended consequences. Sometimes, focusing too much on avoiding negative outcomes can create anxiety or stress that's counterproductive to your goals. It's important to monitor your emotional state and adjust your approach if you find that the fear of consequences is becoming overwhelming. Additionally, while immediate consequences can be powerful motivators, they shouldn't completely replace an understanding of the long-term impacts of our actions. Ideally, the immediate consequences we create for ourselves should serve as reminders or proxies for the more distant effects we're trying to avoid or achieve. It's also worth noting that different people respond differently to various types of motivation. While some individuals might find the threat of immediate negative consequences highly motivating, others might respond better to positive reinforcement or intrinsic motivation. It's important to know yourself and what works best for you. In some cases, combining immediate consequences with positive reinforcement can be particularly effective. For instance, you might set up a system where you face a small penalty for missing a workout, but also reward yourself for completing a full week of exercise. This balanced approach can help create a more sustainable and enjoyable path to habit formation. When implementing this strategy, it can be helpful to start small. Begin with minor habits and relatively mild consequences. As you become more comfortable with the process and start seeing results, you can gradually increase the stakes for more significant habits. Remember, the ultimate goal is not to live in constant fear of punishment, but to use this tool as a stepping stone towards intrinsic motivation. Over time, as habits become more ingrained and the benefits become more apparent, the need for external consequences should diminish. It's also important to be compassionate with yourself. Everyone slips up sometimes, and the occasional failure doesn't negate all your progress. The purpose of immediate consequences is to provide feedback and motivation, not to punish yourself excessively. In conclusion, while making good habits attractive and satisfying is crucial, we shouldn't overlook the power of making bad habits immediately unsatisfying. By bringing the consequences of our actions into the present moment, we can create a powerful impetus for change. Whether through habit contracts, accountability partners, or other creative methods, finding ways to make the cost of bad habits immediate and tangible can be a game changer in our pursuit of personal growth and positive change. However, this approach should be used thoughtfully and in conjunction with other strategies for habit formation. The goal is not to create a life ruled by fear of consequences, but to use this tool as a stepping stone towards building habits that are intrinsically rewarding and aligned with our long-term goals. By understanding and leveraging the power of immediate consequences, we can create an environment that supports our desired behaviors and helps us become the people we aspire to be. The power of habits in shaping our lives cannot be overstated. From the mundane daily routines to life-changing behaviors, habits form the backbone of our existence. One of the most striking examples of habit formation on a societal scale is the adoption of seatbelt usage in the United States. In just a few decades, we witnessed a dramatic shift from a time when most people didn't wear seatbelts to a present where the vast majority of Americans buckle up every time they get in a car. This transformation wasn't just a matter of individual choice, it was largely driven by legislation and the creation of a new social contract. The seatbelt story illustrates how governments can use laws and regulations to influence collective behavior. By mandating seatbelt use and enforcing penalties for non-compliance, states effectively reshape the habits of millions. This approach leverages the power of social contracts agreements we make as a society to follow certain rules for the common good. Similar strategies have been employed to address other public health and safety concerns, such as smoking bans in restaurants and mandatory recycling programs. While these large-scale interventions are effective, we can apply similar principles on a personal level to cultivate positive habits or break undesirable ones. Enter the concept of a habit contract, a formalized agreement with yourself and others to hold you accountable for your behavior. This approach recognizes that sometimes willpower alone isn't enough to overcome ingrained patterns or resist temptation. By explicitly stating your commitments and the consequences of failing to meet them, you create a powerful motivational tool. Consider the case of Brian Harris, an entrepreneur who used a habit contract to achieve his health and fitness goals. After the birth of his son, Harris realized he needed to make some changes to his lifestyle. Instead of relying solely on good intentions, he drafted a detailed contract outlining his objectives, the specific actions he would take, and the consequences of non-compliance. Crucially, he involved his wife and personal trainer as accountability partners, having them sign the contract alongside him. Harris's contract was comprehensive, breaking down his overall goal into phases and specifying daily habits like logging his food intake and weighing himself. The consequences for failing to follow through were concrete and meaningful, having to dress formally for work, a departure from his usual casual attire, and paying his trainer a financial penalty. This level of detail and the inclusion of external accountability proved to be highly effective. As someone who initially viewed such contracts as unnecessarily formal, I've come to appreciate their value. The act of signing a physical document signals a deeper level of commitment than a mere verbal agreement or mental note. It transforms vague intentions into concrete promises, not just to yourself but to others. This external accountability taps into our innate desire to be seen as reliable and trustworthy by those around us. The power of accountability extends beyond formal contracts. Simply having someone to check in with regularly can significantly boost our likelihood of sticking to a new habit or breaking an old one. Comedians, writers, and other creatives often use this approach, partnering with colleagues to ensure they produce work consistently. The knowledge that someone is watching and expecting results can be a powerful motivator, helping us overcome procrastination and laziness. In our digital age, we can even automate accountability. Thomas Frank, an entrepreneur, devised an ingenious system to ensure he wakes up early each morning. If he fails to rise by his target time, a pre-scheduled tweet goes out to his followers, offering a small financial reward to the first few people who call him out on his tardiness. This public commitment adds an extra layer of motivation to his morning routine. These strategies work because they tap into fundamental aspects of human psychology. We are social creatures, deeply concerned with how others perceive us. The desire to present our best selves to the world influences many of our behaviors, from personal grooming to academic and professional achievements. By leveraging this innate social awareness, habit contracts and accountability partnerships make the consequences of our actions or inactions immediate and tangible. However, it's important to note that the effectiveness of these strategies can vary from person to person. Some individuals might find the pressure of external accountability motivating, while others might feel overwhelmed or rebellious. The key is to find an approach that resonates with your personality and goals. Moreover, while consequences and accountability are powerful tools, they shouldn't be the only factors driving habit formation. Ideally, we want to cultivate habits that are intrinsically rewarding, where the behavior itself becomes satisfying over time. External motivators can be excellent for jump-starting change, but long-term success often depends on developing a genuine appreciation for the benefits of the habit itself. As we consider the broader implications of habit formation, it's worth reflecting on the interplay between individual choices and societal norms. The seatbelt example demonstrates how personal habits can be shaped by collective agreements and expectations. At the same time, widespread individual adoption of certain behaviors can lead to shifts in social norms and even policy changes. This dynamic relationship between personal habits and societal trends highlights the importance of thoughtful habit cultivation. The choices we make in our daily lives not only affect our individual well-being, but can contribute to larger social movements and cultural shifts. By being intentional about the habits we develop, we have the potential to influence not just our own lives, but the world around us. The science of habit formation has come a long way in recent years, offering insights into the mechanics of behavior change. We now understand that habits are formed through a loop of cue, routine, and reward. By manipulating these elements, we can increase our chances of successfully adopting new behaviors or breaking undesirable ones. For those looking to create positive habits, there are several strategies to consider. Making the cue for a desired behavior obvious and visible in your environment can serve as a constant reminder. Pairing a new habit with something you already enjoy, a technique known as temptation bundling, can make it more attractive. Reducing friction by preparing your environment in advance can make good habits easier to perform. And finding ways to make the habit immediately satisfying can reinforce the behavior. Conversely, breaking bad habits often involves inverting these principles. Removing cues that trigger unwanted behaviors, making the habit less attractive or more difficult to perform, and creating immediate negative consequences can all help in breaking detrimental patterns. One particularly effective tool for both creating and breaking habits is the use of a habit tracker. This simple practice of recording each successful day of performing or avoiding a particular behavior can be remarkably motivating. The visual representation of your progress creates a sense of accomplishment and taps into our natural desire to maintain streaks or chains of success. However, it's crucial to approach habit formation with self-compassion. Slip-ups are an inevitable part of the process, and how we respond to these moments can determine our long-term success. The never miss twice rule is a helpful guideline. If you forget or fail to perform a habit one day, make it a priority to get back on track immediately the next day. This approach prevents temporary setbacks from derailing your entire effort. As we navigate the complex landscape of habit formation, it's important to remember that change is a gradual process. Small, consistent actions over time lead to significant transformations. The power of habits lies not in dramatic, overnight changes but in the compounding effect of daily choices. Moreover, the journey of habit formation is deeply personal. What works for one person may not work for another. Experimentation and self-reflection are key to finding the strategies that resonate with your unique circumstances and personality. Be willing to adjust your approach as you learn more about yourself and your responses to different techniques. In conclusion, the science and practice of habit formation offer powerful tools for personal growth and societal change. From seatbelt laws to personal fitness goals, the principles of habit creation and modification shape our lives in countless ways. By understanding these principles and applying them thoughtfully, we can take greater control of our behaviors and, by extension, our destinies. Whether through formal contracts, accountability partnerships, or simple daily tracking, we have the ability to reshape our habits and, in doing so, reshape our lives. The journey may be challenging, but the potential rewards in health, productivity, and overall well-being are immeasurable. As we continue to uncover new insights into human behavior, the possibilities for positive change, both individual and collective, are truly exciting. The intricate interplay between genetics, personality, and habit formation is a fascinating area of study that sheds light on why some individuals excel in certain domains while others struggle. This complex relationship underscores the importance of aligning our habits and pursuits with our innate tendencies and strengths. Consider the remarkable stories of Michael Phelps and Hicham Garouge, two athletes who achieved unparalleled success in their respective sports. Phelps, with his towering frame and uniquely proportioned body, dominated the swimming world, while El Garouge's compact build and exceptionally long legs made him a force to be reckoned with in middle-distance running. Their physical attributes, largely determined by genetics, played a crucial role in their rise to the top of their fields. However, it would be a mistake to assume that their success was solely due to their genetic makeup. Both athletes undoubtedly invested countless hours in training, honing their skills, and perfecting their techniques. Their genetic predispositions provided a foundation, but it was their dedication to cultivating habits aligned with their natural abilities that allowed them to reach the pinnacle of athletic achievement. This principle extends far beyond the realm of sports. In every area of life, from career choices to personal hobbies, understanding and leveraging our genetic predispositions can significantly impact our potential for success and satisfaction. The key lies in recognizing that genes don't dictate our destiny, rather, they highlight areas of opportunity where we're more likely to thrive. The influence of genetics on our behavior is pervasive and often subtle. Research has shown that our genes play a role in shaping a wide array of traits and tendencies, from our television viewing habits to our likelihood of developing addictions. Even seemingly personal characteristics, such as our response to authority or our level of proactivity, have genetic underpinnings. However, it's crucial to understand that genetic influence doesn't equate to genetic determinism. Our genes interact with our environment in complex ways, and the expression of genetic traits can be modulated by external factors. This interplay between nature and nurture is what makes human behavior so intricate and varied. One of the most significant ways our genetic makeup manifests is through our personality. The widely accepted Big Five model of personality traits provides a framework for understanding these innate tendencies. This model breaks down personality into 5 broad dimensions: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Each of these traits exists on a spectrum, and our position on these spectrums is influenced by our genetic makeup. For instance, extroversion, which ranges from outgoing and energetic to solitary and reserved, has been linked to biological factors observable from infancy. Studies have shown that babies who turn toward loud noises are more likely to grow up to be extroverts, while those who turn away tend to become introverts. Similarly, individuals high in agreeableness, characterized by kindness and consideration, often have naturally higher levels of oxytocin, a hormone associated with social bonding and trust. This biological predisposition might make it easier for them to form habits around social activities or acts of kindness. Understanding these innate tendencies can be immensely helpful when it comes to habit formation. When we try to establish habits that align with our natural inclinations, we're more likely to find them satisfying and sustainable. For example, an individual high in openness to experience might find it easier to cultivate a habit of trying new foods or visiting new places, while someone high in conscientiousness might excel at developing organizational or planning habits. However, it's important to note that our personality traits are not immutable. While they have a genetic basis, they can also be influenced by our experiences and environment. This malleability means that we have the capacity to develop traits and habits that don't come naturally to us, albeit with more effort. The key to leveraging our genetic predispositions for habit formation lies in self-awareness. By understanding our natural tendencies, we can make informed decisions about which habits to cultivate and how to approach their formation. This doesn't mean we should limit ourselves only to activities that come easily. Rather, it suggests that we should be strategic in our approach to personal growth and development. For instance, if you know you're naturally high in neuroticism, you might find it particularly beneficial to develop habits around stress management and mindfulness. These practices could help mitigate the anxiety and sensitivity associated with this trait. Conversely, if you're low in conscientiousness, you might need to put extra effort into creating systems and routines to support habits related to organization and time management. The concept of aligning our habits with our genetic predispositions also has implications for how we approach skill development and career choices. Just as Michael Phelps was uniquely suited for swimming, each of us has areas where our natural abilities give us an edge. Identifying these areas can help us focus our efforts where they're most likely to yield results. However, this doesn't mean we should avoid challenges or give up on areas where we're not naturally gifted. Instead, it suggests that we should be realistic about the effort required to excel in different domains. If we choose to pursue an area where we don't have a natural advantage, we should be prepared to put in extra work to compensate for our genetic disadvantages. Moreover, the interaction between our genes and our environment means that the suitability of our traits can change depending on the context. A trait that's advantageous in one situation might be a hindrance in another. For example, high neuroticism might be detrimental in a high-stress job, but beneficial in a role that requires attention to detail and risk assessment. This contextual nature of genetic influence underscores the importance of finding the right environment for our traits to flourish. Sometimes the key to success isn't changing ourselves, but rather finding or creating an environment that suits our natural tendencies. This might involve choosing a career that aligns with our personality, seeking out social groups that appreciate our unique qualities, or modifying our physical environment to support our desired habits. It's also worth noting that while our genes influence our behavior, they don't control it entirely. We have the capacity for self-reflection and choice, which allows us to override our natural inclinations when necessary. This ability to act against our instincts is what allows us to grow and change over time. In fact, the process of habit formation itself can be seen as a way of shaping our behavior patterns to align more closely with our goals, even when those goals require us to act in ways that don't come naturally. Through consistent practice and reinforcement, we can develop new neural pathways that make desired behaviors more automatic, effectively rewiring our brains over time. This plasticity of the brain highlights an important point. While our genes provide a starting point, our habits and experiences play a crucial role in shaping who we become. The habits we choose to cultivate can enhance our natural strengths, compensate for our weaknesses, and even develop entirely new capabilities. Understanding the role of genetics in habit formation also has implications for how we approach behavior change on a societal level. Public health initiatives, educational policies, and workplace practices could all benefit from a more nuanced understanding of how genetic factors influence behavior. By recognizing the diversity of genetic predispositions within a population, we can design more effective interventions and support systems that cater to a range of natural tendencies. For instance, smoking cessation programs might be more effective if they offer a variety of approaches, recognizing that individuals with different genetic profiles might respond better to different strategies. Similarly, educational systems could be designed to accommodate a wider range of learning styles and personality types, helping each student find the approach that best suits their innate tendencies. As our understanding of genetics and behavior continues to evolve, we're likely to gain even more insights into how our genes shape our habits and tendencies. This knowledge has the potential to revolutionize our approach to personal development, allowing us to craft more effective strategies for growth and change. However, as we delve deeper into this field, it's crucial to maintain a balanced perspective. While genetic factors are important, they are just one piece of the puzzle. Our choices, experiences, and environment all play significant roles in shaping who we are and who we can become. Moreover, we must be cautious about overinterpreting genetic information or using it as an excuse for inaction. The knowledge of our genetic predispositions should empower us to make informed decisions, not limit our aspirations or justify harmful behaviors. In conclusion, the relationship between genetics, personality, and habit formation is a complex and fascinating area of study. By understanding our genetic predispositions, we can make more informed choices about which habits to cultivate and how to approach their formation. We can leverage our natural strengths while also developing strategies to compensate for our weaknesses. At the same time, we must remember that our genes are not our destiny. They provide a starting point, but our habits, choices, and experiences shape who we ultimately become. By combining self-awareness of our genetic tendencies with intentional habit formation, we can work towards becoming the best versions of ourselves, regardless of the hand we were dealt by our DNA. The journey of personal growth and habit formation is a deeply individual one, influenced by the unique interplay of our genes, personality, and environment. By embracing this complexity and approaching our development with curiosity and intention, we can unlock our full potential and lead more fulfilling lives. The journey of personal growth and habit formation is a complex and fascinating process, deeply influenced by our innate tendencies and the environments we find ourselves in. While we often focus on willpower and discipline as the primary drivers of habit change, the reality is far more nuanced. Our genetic makeup, personality traits, and natural inclinations play a significant role in determining which habits we're likely to stick with and excel at. Consider the trait of neuroticism, a personality characteristic that all individuals possess to varying degrees. Those who score high in neuroticism tend to be more anxious and prone to worry. This isn't simply a matter of choice or weakness. Research has linked this trait to increased sensitivity in the amygdala, the brain region responsible for threat detection. Essentially, these individuals are hardwired to be more attuned to potential dangers in their environment. Understanding these innate tendencies doesn't mean we're prisoners of our genes or personalities. Rather, this knowledge empowers us to work with our natural inclinations rather than against them. For instance, a person who scores lower on conscientiousness might struggle with organization and routine. Instead of fighting this tendency, they might benefit more from focusing on environmental design strategies to support their habits. This could involve setting up systems that make desired behaviors easier and undesired ones more difficult. The key takeaway here is the importance of tailoring our habits to our individual personalities and preferences. Too often, we fall into the trap of trying to adopt habits that work for others or that are currently trendy without considering whether they're a good fit for us personally. This approach is often counterproductive and can lead to frustration and failure. Instead, we should seek out versions of habits that bring us joy and satisfaction. If you're trying to incorporate more exercise into your routine, don't force yourself to follow a bodybuilding regimen if you find it tedious. Perhaps you'd be more motivated by rock climbing, cycling, or dancing. The specific activity matters less than finding something that resonates with you personally. This principle extends to all areas of life. If you're trying to read more, don't feel pressured to tackle dense nonfiction if you find yourself drawn to romance novels or science fiction. The goal is to cultivate the habit of reading the genre as secondary. By choosing activities that naturally appeal to us, we're more likely to stick with them in the long run. However, finding the right habits is only part of the equation. To truly thrive, we need to identify areas where we have a natural advantage, situations where the odds are in our favor. This concept is crucial for maintaining motivation and achieving success. Think about it: when we engage in activities that come easily to us, we're more likely to perform well. This leads to positive feedback, praise, and often tangible rewards like better pay or increased opportunities. This positive reinforcement creates a virtuous cycle, energizing us and propelling us to even greater heights of performance. The challenge, of course, is identifying these areas of natural advantage. Life is short, and we don't have the luxury of trying every possible career, hobby, or skill. This is where the concept of the explore-exploit trade-off comes into play. In the early stages of any new endeavor, whether it's a career, a relationship, or a hobby, there should be a period of exploration. This is the time to cast a wide net, try out different possibilities, and gather information. In relationships, we call this dating. In education, it's the liberal arts approach. In business, it might manifest as split testing or market research. After this initial exploratory phase, the focus shifts to exploiting the best options you've discovered. However, it's crucial to maintain some level of exploration even at this stage. A common rule of thumb is to spend about 80 to 90% of your time and energy on your primary focus, while reserving 10 to 20% for continued exploration and experimentation. This balance isn't fixed, it should be adjusted based on your current situation. If you're succeeding in your chosen area, it makes sense to double down on what's working. If you're struggling, that's a sign to increase your exploratory efforts. The optimal approach also depends on your time constraints. Early in your career or when starting a new project, you have more latitude for exploration. As deadlines approach or as you advance in your field, the focus naturally shifts more towards exploitation of your established skills and knowledge. But how do you navigate this process of discovery? There are several key questions you can ask yourself to help identify areas where you're likely to thrive. What activities feel like fun to you but seem like work to others? This is a powerful indicator of your natural inclinations. The tasks that you find energizing, even when they're challenging, are likely areas where you have a natural advantage. When do you lose track of time? The state of flow, where you're so engrossed in an activity that you lose awareness of your surroundings, is a strong sign that you're engaged in something well suited to your abilities and interests. Where do you seem to get better results than the average person? If you find yourself progressing faster or achieving more in a particular area compared to your peers, that's a good indication you've found a field where you have a natural advantage. What feels natural to you? This requires honest self-reflection, setting aside societal expectations and ingrained beliefs. When do you feel most authentically yourself? These moments of genuine engagement and enjoyment are signposts pointing towards your areas of natural strength. It's important to acknowledge that some of this process involves an element of luck. We don't choose our genetic makeup or the environment we're born into. Some individuals, like Olympic athletes Michael Phelps or Hicham Gerouge, are fortunate to have rare physical attributes that are highly valued in their specific sports. Moreover, they had the opportunity to be exposed to and develop those talents. However, this doesn't mean we should leave our personal growth entirely to chance. By actively exploring different areas, paying attention to what energizes us, and being willing to pivot when something isn't working, we can significantly increase our odds of finding our personal sweet spots. This approach to personal development and habit formation represents a shift from the traditional no pain, no gain mentality. It's not about forcing yourself to adopt habits or pursue goals that don't align with your natural inclinations. Instead, it's about understanding yourself deeply, identifying your areas of natural strength, and then leveraging those strengths to achieve your goals. This doesn't mean avoiding challenges or staying within your comfort zone. Growth often requires pushing our boundaries. However, when we're working in areas aligned with our natural talents and interests, these challenges feel more like exciting opportunities than daunting obstacles. Moreover, this approach can lead to more sustainable success and fulfillment. When we're engaged in activities that naturally resonate with us, we're more likely to persist in the face of difficulties. We're also more likely to achieve a state of flow, which research has linked to increased happiness and life satisfaction. It's worth noting that this process of self-discovery and alignment is ongoing. Our interests and strengths can evolve over time, and what worked for us at one stage of life might not be as effective in another. This is why maintaining that element of exploration is crucial, even when we've found areas where we excel. This perspective on personal growth also has implications for how we approach education and career development. Rather than pushing everyone towards a standardized set of skills or career paths, we should be encouraging exploration and helping individuals identify their unique strengths and interests. In the workplace, this might mean allowing employees more flexibility to shape their roles around their strengths, or providing opportunities for people to explore different areas of the business. In education, it could involve more personalized learning paths that allow students to delve deeper into areas where they show natural aptitude or interest. However, it's important to strike a balance. While focusing on our strengths is generally a good strategy, there's also value in developing a broad base of skills and knowledge. Sometimes, seemingly unrelated experiences or skills can combine in unexpected ways to give us a unique advantage. Furthermore, we should be cautious about using this approach as an excuse to avoid necessary but challenging tasks. there will always be aspects of any pursuit that are less enjoyable or more difficult. The key is to find a path where the overall balance tilts in favor of activities that energize and engage us. As we navigate this process of aligning our habits and goals with our natural inclinations, it's crucial to remain patient and compassionate with ourselves. Finding our optimal path is rarely a straightforward process. It often involves trial and error, false starts, and occasional setbacks. Remember, the goal isn't perfection but progress. Each experiment, each habit we try, teaches us something about ourselves. Even if a particular habit doesn't stick, the attempt provides valuable information that can guide our future efforts. Moreover, as we become more attuned to our natural strengths and preferences, we often find that our definition of success evolves. Instead of chasing external markers of achievement, we may find ourselves more focused on personal fulfillment and the joy of engaging in activities that truly resonate with us. This shift can have profound implications for our overall well-being. When we're aligned with our natural inclinations, work often feels less like a chore and more like a calling. We're more likely to experience states of flow, which research has linked to increased happiness and life satisfaction. In conclusion, the path to personal growth and successful habit formation is not about forcing ourselves to conform to a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, it's a journey of self-discovery, of finding and nurturing our natural strengths, and of aligning our habits and goals with our innate tendencies. This doesn't mean avoiding challenges or staying within our comfort zones. Growth often requires pushing our boundaries. However, when we're working in areas aligned with our natural talents and interests, these challenges feel more like exciting opportunities than daunting obstacles. By understanding our genetic predispositions, personality traits, and areas of natural strength, we can craft a personal development strategy that works with us rather than against us. This approach not only increases our chances of success, but also leads to a more fulfilling and enjoyable journey. Remember, the goal is not to become someone else, but the best version of yourself. By embracing your unique combination of traits and talents, and continually exploring and refining your path, you can create a life filled with habits that not only serve you well, but also bring you joy and satisfaction. The journey to success in any field is often long, challenging, and filled with unexpected twists and turns. Yet, some individuals manage to persevere through years of struggle, honing their craft, and ultimately achieving remarkable success. The story of Steve Martin, one of America's most beloved comedians, perfectly illustrates this path of persistent dedication and gradual improvement. Martin's journey began in the most humble of circumstances as a 10-year-old boy selling guidebooks at Disneyland. This early exposure to the world of entertainment sparked a passion that would shape the rest of his life. As he transitioned to working in the park's magic shop, Martin began to experiment with performance, trying out simple tricks and jokes on visitors. It was here that he discovered his true calling was not in magic, but in comedy and performance more broadly. The road from this realization to stardom was long and arduous. Martin spent his teenage years performing in small clubs around Los Angeles, often to indifferent or non-existent audiences. He would sometimes deliver his routine to empty rooms, persisting even when there was no one there to appreciate his efforts. This dedication to his craft, even in the face of apparent failure, is a testament to Martin's intrinsic motivation and love for comedy. What's particularly noteworthy about Martin's journey is the gradual, incremental nature of his progress. He didn't burst onto the scene with a fully formed hour-long set. Instead, he started with routines that lasted only a minute or two. Over time, he expanded his material, reaching 5 minutes in high school, then 10 minutes, and eventually 20 minutes by the age of 19. Even then, he had to pad his show with poetry readings just to fill the time slot. This gradual expansion of his repertoire highlights a crucial aspect of skill development and habit formation: the importance of consistent, incremental progress. Martin didn't try to leap from novice to expert overnight. Instead, he focused on steady improvement, constantly refining and expanding his material. This approach allowed him to build his skills and confidence gradually, avoiding the overwhelming pressure that might have come from trying to create a full-length show right from the start. Martin's persistence is particularly impressive given the nature of stand-up comedy. Few endeavors are as immediately and brutally honest in their feedback as comedy. A joke either lands or it doesn't, and the comedian knows instantly whether they've succeeded or failed. The courage required to face this potential rejection night after night, for years on end, is remarkable. It took nearly 15 years of this dedicated practice and refinement before Martin achieved his breakthrough. When success came, it came in a big way. His tours drew tens of thousands of fans, and he quickly rose to the top of his field. But this overnight success was, in reality, the result of almost 2 decades of persistent effort. Martin's own reflection on his journey is particularly insightful. He describes it as 10 years spent learning, 4 years spent refining, and 4 years as a wild success. This breakdown offers a valuable perspective on the nature of mastery and success. The learning phase, the longest part of the journey, is where the foundational skills are developed. The refining phase is where these skills are honed and polished. Only after these 2 crucial phases does the success phase begin. This pattern of long-term dedication leading to eventual success is not unique to Martin or to comedy. It's a common thread in the stories of many high achievers across various fields. But it raises an important question: why are some people able to stick with their habits and pursuits for years or even decades, while others struggle to stay motivated? The answer lies, in part, in understanding the nature of motivation and how our brains respond to challenges. Research in psychology and neuroscience has consistently shown that humans are most motivated when working on tasks of just manageable difficulty. This concept, sometimes referred to as the Goldilocks rule, suggests that we are most engaged when the challenge we face is neither too easy nor too hard, but just right. When a task is too easy, we quickly become bored. Our brains crave stimulation and growth, and an unchallenging activity fails to provide either. On the other hand, when a task is too difficult, we become frustrated and demotivated. The constant experience of failure without progress is disheartening and can lead to giving up. The sweet spot lies in between these extremes. When we're working on something that stretches our abilities but remains within reach, we enter a state of optimal engagement. This state is often associated with the concept of flow, described by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi as a condition of full immersion in an activity characterized by energized focus and enjoyment. In Martin's case, we can see how he intuitively followed this principle throughout his career. He consistently pushed himself to expand his routines and improve his craft, but he did so in manageable increments. Each small success a new joke that landed well, a slightly longer routine successfully delivered, provided the motivation to continue pushing forward. This approach of seeking just manageable difficulty can be applied to any habit or skill we're trying to develop. Whether it's learning a new language, improving our fitness, or developing a professional skill, the key is to find that sweet spot where we're challenged but not overwhelmed. For example, if you're trying to develop a reading habit, you might start with short articles or novellas rather than diving straight into complex literature. As your reading stamina improves, you can gradually increase the length and complexity of your chosen texts. Similarly, if you're working on improving your physical fitness, you might begin with short, manageable workouts and progressively increase the duration and intensity as your strength and endurance improve. The beauty of this approach is that it creates a self-reinforcing cycle of motivation and improvement. As we successfully navigate challenges at the edge of our abilities, we experience a sense of accomplishment and growth. This positive experience motivates us to continue engaging with the activity, which in turn leads to further improvement. Over time, tasks that once seemed daunting become manageable, allowing us to take on even greater challenges. However, maintaining this optimal level of challenge requires constant adjustment. As we improve at a task, what was once challenging becomes easy. To maintain motivation, we need to continually seek out new challenges that match our growing abilities. This might involve learning new skills, taking on more complex projects, or setting more ambitious goals. In Martin's comedy career, we can see this principle in action. He didn't stop once he could consistently deliver a 5-minute routine. Instead, he continually pushed himself to expand his material, try new comedic styles, and perform for larger audiences. Each new challenge provided fresh motivation and opportunities for growth. This need for continual challenge and growth aligns with another key aspect of long-term motivation: the importance of intrinsic motivation. While external rewards like money, fame, or recognition can provide short-term motivation, sustainable long-term engagement typically comes from intrinsic factors: the personal satisfaction, enjoyment, or sense of purpose we derive from an activity. For Martin, The love of performance and the creative satisfaction of crafting and delivering jokes provided this intrinsic motivation. Even when external success was lacking, when he was performing to empty rooms or uninterested audiences, this internal drive kept him going. Cultivating this kind of intrinsic motivation is crucial for maintaining any long-term habit or pursuit. It involves connecting with the inherent value or enjoyment of the activity itself rather than focusing solely on external outcomes. This might mean focusing on the sense of accomplishment you feel after a workout rather than just the number on the scale, or savoring the process of creating art rather than fixating on selling your work. Another crucial factor in maintaining long-term motivation is the environment we create for ourselves. Our surroundings, both physical and social, can have a profound impact on our ability to stick with our habits and pursuits. In Martin's case, immersing himself in the world of entertainment first at Disneyland, then in the Los Angeles comedy scene, provided constant exposure to his chosen field and opportunities for practice and improvement. Creating a supportive environment for our habits might involve setting up a dedicated workspace for a creative pursuit, surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who share our interests, or removing obstacles that make it difficult to engage in our chosen activity. The goal is to make it as easy as possible to engage in the habit consistently, reducing the reliance on willpower alone. The role of failure and setbacks in the journey of habit formation and skill development is also worth considering. Martin's story includes many moments that could be considered failures, jokes that didn't land, performances to empty rooms. Yet he persisted. This resilience in the face of setbacks is a crucial component of long-term success. Developing this resilience involves reframing how we view failure. Rather than seeing setbacks as indictments of our abilities or reasons to give up, we can view them as valuable feedback and opportunities for learning. Each failed joke or performance gave Martin information about what didn't work, helping him refine his material and delivery. This growth mindset, the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, is a powerful tool for maintaining motivation over the long term. It allows us to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to our self-image. As we reflect on Martin's journey and the principles of motivation and habit formation it illustrates, we can draw several key lessons. 1. Success often requires a long period of dedicated practice and incremental improvement. The overnight success is usually anything but. 2. Maintaining motivation over the long term requires finding the right level of challenge tasks that stretch our abilities without overwhelming us. 3. Intrinsic motivation deriving satisfaction and enjoyment from the activity itself is crucial for sustaining long-term engagement. 4. Creating a supportive environment can make it easier to stick with our habits and pursuits. 5. Resilience in the face of setbacks, coupled with a growth mindset, allows us to persist through difficulties and learn from our failures. 6. Continual adjustment and seeking out new challenges is necessary to maintain engagement as our skills improve. These principles can be applied to any area of life where we're seeking to develop new skills, form positive habits, or achieve long-term goals. Whether we're aspiring comedians like Martin, or simply individuals looking to improve our health, learn a new skill, or advance in our careers, understanding and applying these concepts can help us stay motivated and achieve our objectives. In conclusion, the story of Steve Martin's rise to comedic stardom offers more than just an inspiring tale of perseverance. It provides a roadmap for anyone looking to achieve mastery in their chosen field or stick with a challenging habit over the long term. By embracing the process of gradual improvement, seeking out appropriate challenges, cultivating intrinsic motivation, and persisting through setbacks, we can all work towards our own versions of success, whatever form that may take. The journey may be long and challenging, but as Martin's story shows, the results can be truly remarkable. The pursuit of excellence in any field is a journey fraught with challenges, but perhaps the most formidable obstacle isn't failure or lack of talent, it's boredom. This insight, counterintuitive as it may seem, holds the key to understanding why some individuals achieve remarkable success while others falter despite initial promise. Consider the process of mastering a skill or habit. In the beginning, everything is new and exciting. Each small improvement brings a rush of satisfaction, and the novelty of the experience keeps us engaged. This is the honeymoon phase of skill acquisition, where motivation is high and progress seems rapid. However, as we become more proficient, a curious phenomenon occurs. The very consistency that leads to improvement also breeds familiarity, and with familiarity comes the potential for boredom. The rush of excitement that accompanied our initial efforts begins to fade, replaced by the steady, sometimes monotonous work of continued practice. This is where many people falter. When the initial excitement wears off, it's easy to lose focus or seek out new, more stimulating pursuits. But those who achieve mastery in their chosen fields are those who find ways to push through this plateau of boredom. The key to maintaining motivation in the face of routine lies in understanding what psychologists call the Goldilocks rule. This principle suggests that humans experience peak motivation when engaging in tasks that are right at the edge of their current abilities, not so easy as to be boring, but not so difficult as to be discouraging. Imagine playing a game of tennis. If you're facing an opponent who is significantly less skilled than you, the game quickly becomes tedious. There's no challenge, no excitement. Conversely, if you're up against a professional player who outclasses you in every aspect, the game becomes frustrating and demoralizing. But when you play against someone of similar skill level, something magical happens. The game becomes engaging, challenging, and deeply satisfying. You're pushed to your limits, but victory remains within reach. This is the Goldilocks zone of just manageable difficulty. The concept extends far beyond sports. In any field of endeavor, finding this sweet spot of challenge is crucial for maintaining long-term motivation. It's a delicate balance pushed too hard, and you risk burnout not hard enough, and boredom sets in. Consider the career of a successful comedian. They don't start with hour-long specials in packed arenas. Instead, they begin with short sets in small clubs, gradually expanding their repertoire and tackling more challenging venues. Each step presents a new challenge, keeping the work engaging and pushing the boundaries of their abilities. This principle of incremental challenge is vital in habit formation and skill development. When starting a new habit, it's important to keep things simple and achievable. But once the habit is established, it's equally important to find ways to keep it challenging and engaging. For instance, if you're developing a writing habit, you might start with a goal of writing 100 words a day. As this becomes comfortable, you could increase the word count, tackle more complex topics, or experiment with different styles of writing. The key is to continuously find new challenges that stretch your abilities without overwhelming you. However, even with careful attention to the Goldilocks rule, there will inevitably be times when the work feels monotonous. This is where the true test of mastery begins. The ability to persist through periods of boredom, to continue showing up and putting in the work even when it's not exciting, is what separates the amateurs from the professionals. An elite weightlifting coach once shared a profound insight: at some point it comes down to who can handle the boredom of training every day, doing the same lifts over and over and over. This perspective challenges the common notion that success is all about passion and motivation. While these elements are important, they are not sufficient. True mastery requires the ability to persist even when the initial excitement has faded. This insight is liberating in a way. It means that those who achieve greatness aren't necessarily more passionate or motivated than the rest of us. They simply have developed the ability to push through the periods of boredom and continue their practice regardless of how they feel on any given day. The challenge, then, is to fall in love with boredom. To find satisfaction not just in the exciting moments of breakthrough, but in the quiet, consistent work that leads to those breakthroughs. This doesn't mean that the work should always feel tedious. Indeed, finding ways to inject novelty and challenge into your practice is crucial for long-term engagement. One way to maintain interest is through the concept of variable rewards. This principle, well known in psychology, explains why activities like gambling can be so addictive. When rewards are unpredictable, they create a stronger dopamine response in the brain, enhancing memory recall and accelerating habit formation. While not all habits should or could involve variable rewards, imagine if flossing only sometimes resulted in clean teeth. Understanding this principle can help in designing practices that remain engaging over time. For instance, a fitness routine could incorporate different types of workouts, a reading habit could explore various genres, or a meditation practice could experiment with different techniques. However, it's important to note that novelty alone is not the answer. Jumping from one new thing to another may keep boredom at bay, but it prevents the deep learning and skill development that comes from sustained practice. The key is to find a balance between consistency and novelty to keep the core of the practice steady while finding new challenges within it. This brings us to another crucial point: the importance of identity in maintaining long-term habits. When we tie our habits to our sense of identity, when we see ourselves as the kind of person who does this, we're more likely to persist even when the initial excitement fades. A writer writes, even on days when the words don't flow easily. An athlete trains even when they don't feel particularly energetic. A meditator sits even when their mind feels especially restless. Developing this kind of identity requires a shift in focus from outcomes to processes. Instead of fixating on the end goal, becoming a published author, winning a competition, achieving enlightenment, we learn to find satisfaction in the daily practice itself. This doesn't mean abandoning our aspirations, but rather recognizing that the journey towards them is where the real growth occurs. Moreover, this perspective helps in dealing with the inevitable setbacks and plateaus that occur in any long-term endeavor. When progress seems slow or non-existent, it's easy to become discouraged. But if we've learned to appreciate the process itself, we can find satisfaction in the simple act of showing up and doing the work, regardless of immediate results. This mindset also helps in managing expectations. Often we have unrealistic ideas about how quickly we should progress or how consistently we should feel motivated. Understanding that boredom and frustration are normal parts of the journey can help us persist through these challenging periods. It's also worth considering the role of community in maintaining long-term motivation. Surrounding ourselves with others who share our goals and values can provide support, accountability, and inspiration during times when our individual motivation flags. This could be a formal group, like a writing circle or a sports team, or simply a network of like-minded individuals pursuing similar goals. Another strategy for maintaining engagement over the long term is to periodically step back and reconnect with the bigger picture. Why did you start this practice in the first place? What are the larger goals or values that it serves? Sometimes, zooming out and reminding ourselves of the broader context can reignite our motivation and help us push through periods of tedium. It's also important to recognize that motivation often follows action, not the other way around. We often think we need to feel motivated in order to act, but in reality, taking action even when we don't feel particularly inspired can generate its own motivation. This is why the simple act of showing up, of starting the work even when we don't feel like it, is so powerful. Ultimately, the ability to persist through boredom is a skill that can be developed, like any other. It requires practice, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. But the rewards of this skill are immense. It's what allows us to push past the plateaus that stop most people, to achieve levels of mastery that seem out of reach to those who rely solely on sporadic bursts of motivation. This doesn't mean that the journey should be joyless. Indeed, finding ways to enjoy the process, to find satisfaction in the daily work, is crucial for long-term success. But it does mean accepting that not every moment will be exciting or inspiring, and learning to find value in the steady, consistent effort that leads to true mastery. In conclusion, the path to excellence in any field is not just about talent, opportunity, or even passion. It's about the willingness to show up day after day, to put in the work even when it's not exciting, to fall in love with the boredom of consistency. It's about finding the right level of challenge to keep ourselves engaged, while also developing the mental toughness to push through periods of tedium. This perspective on mastery and habit formation offers both a challenge and a comfort. It challenges us to persist beyond the point where many would give up, to embrace the sometimes monotonous work of improvement. But it also offers comfort in knowing that those who achieve greatness aren't superhuman. They simply have developed the ability to stay the course, to find satisfaction in the journey as much as the destination. As we pursue our own paths to mastery, whether in our careers, our hobbies, or our personal development, let us remember this crucial lesson. Let us strive to find the right balance of challenge and consistency, to inject novelty into our practices while maintaining their core, and above all, to cultivate the mental fortitude to push through boredom. For it is in these quiet moments of persistence, when no one is watching and motivation is low, that true mastery is forged. The pursuit of excellence is a journey that requires more than just talent or sporadic bursts of motivation. It demands consistency, dedication, and a willingness to embrace the monotony that often accompanies mastery. This is a truth that applies across all fields, whether you're an athlete, artist, entrepreneur, or professional in any domain. Consider the contrast between professionals and amateurs. Professionals adhere rigorously to their schedules, refusing to let life's distractions derail their progress. They have a clear vision of what matters most to them and work tirelessly towards their goals with unwavering purpose. Amateurs, on the other hand, often find themselves blown off course by the urgent demands of daily life, struggling to maintain focus on their long-term objectives. This distinction is particularly evident in the realm of habit formation. Take meditation, for instance. Many people approach meditation as fair-weather practitioners, only engaging in the practice when they feel particularly inspired or when life is going smoothly. However, true growth and transformation come from consistency, especially when it's challenging. The same principle applies to athletics, writing, or any other pursuit. To achieve greatness, one must be willing to show up and put in the work regardless of mood or circumstance. There's a common misconception that successful individuals always feel motivated and energized to tackle their goals. The reality is quite different. Even the most accomplished people frequently face moments of reluctance or lack of enthusiasm. The key difference is their ability to push through these feelings and take action anyway. They understand that regret often comes from inaction, not from pushing oneself to complete important tasks. This idea extends to the concept of deliberate practice, which is crucial for achieving mastery in any field. Deliberate practice involves focused, intentional efforts to improve specific aspects of performance. It's not always enjoyable, and it certainly isn't easy, but it's essential for progress. The willingness to engage in deliberate practice, even when it feels tedious or challenging, is what separates the truly exceptional from the merely good. Interestingly, the path to excellence often requires embracing boredom. This might seem counterintuitive, as we often associate passion and excitement with high achievement. However, true mastery comes from the ability to find fascination in repetition, to see the nuances and opportunities for improvement in tasks that others might find mundane. It's about falling in love with the process, not just the outcome. This brings us to an important psychological principle known as the Goldilocks rule. This concept suggests that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right at the edge of their current abilities, not too easy, not too hard, but just right. This sweet spot of challenge keeps us engaged and propels us forward. However, as we improve and tasks become easier, we risk falling into a comfort zone that can lead to stagnation. The greatest threat to success, then, is not failure but boredom. As habits become routine, they often become less interesting and less satisfying. This is a natural part of the skill acquisition process, but it's also a potential pitfall. The key is to recognize this phenomenon and develop strategies to combat it. One effective approach is to continually seek out new challenges within your field. As you master one level of skill, immediately begin pushing yourself to the next. This constant progression keeps the work engaging and prevents complacency. It's also important to develop a mindset that values consistency over fleeting bursts of motivation. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired, but it's the ability to keep going when the work isn't exciting that truly makes the difference. The formation of good habits is undoubtedly crucial for success. Habits create the foundation for mastery by automating basic skills, freeing up mental space for more advanced thinking. In chess, for example, it's only after a player has internalized the basic movements of the pieces that they can focus on higher-level strategy. This principle holds true across disciplines. When fundamental actions become second nature, attention can be directed to more nuanced and complex aspects of performance. However, the very automaticity that makes habits powerful can also become a limitation. As behaviors become automatic, we risk falling into mindless repetition. This can lead to a decrease in sensitivity to feedback and a tendency to let small errors slide. The danger here is that we might assume we're improving simply because we're gaining experience, when in reality we may just be reinforcing existing patterns, including any flaws or inefficiencies. This phenomenon highlights the need for a more nuanced approach to skill development, especially for those aiming for elite levels of performance. While habits are necessary, they are not sufficient for true mastery. The optimal path combines automatic habits with deliberate practice, a synergy that allows for both efficiency and continuous improvement. Deliberate practice involves consciously focusing on specific aspects of performance, often breaking down complex skills into smaller components for targeted improvement. It requires a level of mental engagement that goes beyond simple repetition. By alternating between phases of habit formation and deliberate practice, individuals can continue to push their boundaries and refine their skills. This cycle of mastery, narrowing focus to a specific element, repeating it internalized, then using that new habit as a foundation for the next challenge is endless. Each level of mastery unlocks new frontiers of development. It's a process that demands both patience and persistence, as well as the humility to recognize that there is always room for improvement. One of the key challenges in this journey is maintaining consciousness of performance over time. It's precisely when skills start to feel automatic and comfortable that the risk of complacency increases. To combat this, it's crucial to establish systems for reflection and review. Regular assessment of performance, identification of areas for improvement, and setting new goals can help maintain the edge needed for continued growth. The Career Best Effort CBE program implemented by Pat Riley for the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1986 to 1987 season provides an excellent example of such a system. After a disappointing playoff performance that didn't live up to the team's potential, Riley developed a method to track each player's performance metrics and encourage consistent improvement. The goal was for each player to improve their output by at least 1% over the course of the season. What made this program particularly effective was its holistic approach. It wasn't just about points scored or other obvious statistics. Riley included unsung hero deeds in his evaluations, things like diving for loose balls, helping teammates on defense, and other efforts that might not show up in the box score but contribute significantly to team success. This comprehensive view of performance encouraged players to focus on all aspects of their game, not just the most visible ones. The CBE program illustrates several key principles of effective habit formation and performance improvement. First, it emphasizes the importance of establishing a baseline understanding current performance levels before setting goals for improvement. Second, it focuses on small, incremental improvements rather than dramatic overhauls. This approach makes progress feel more achievable and sustainable. Third, it recognizes and rewards effort and behavior, not just outcomes. This helps to reinforce the right habits and mindset, even when results might fluctuate due to factors outside an individual's control. Implementing a similar system of reflection and review can be beneficial in any field. Regular self-assessment, seeking feedback from mentors or peers, and setting specific, measurable goals for improvement can help maintain focus and drive progress. It's about creating a framework that encourages continuous growth and prevents the onset of complacency. The journey to mastery is not a straight line. It involves periods of rapid growth followed by plateaus, moments of breakthrough insights, and times of frustrating stagnation. The key is to embrace this process, understanding that each phase plays a role in long-term development. The plateaus, in particular, are often where the most important work happens, refining skills, ingraining habits, and preparing for the next leap forward. In conclusion, the path to excellence is paved with consistent effort, deliberate practice, and a willingness to embrace the sometimes monotonous nature of skill development. It requires the discipline to stick to schedules and routines, even when motivation wanes. It demands the humility to continually seek improvement, even after achieving a high level of proficiency. And it calls for the wisdom to implement systems that promote ongoing reflection and adjustment. True mastery is not about reaching a final destination, but about committing to a lifelong journey of growth and refinement. It's about finding joy in the process, challenges in the familiar, and opportunities for improvement in every repetition. By cultivating these attitudes and approaches, we can unlock our full potential and push the boundaries of what's possible in our chosen fields. The road may be long and at times arduous, but for those committed to excellence, it's a journey worth taking. The journey to excellence in any field is a complex and multifaceted process, one that requires not only talent and dedication but also a systematic approach to improvement. This is perhaps nowhere more evident than in the world of professional sports, where the margins between success and failure are often razor thin. The story of the Los Angeles Lakers' transformation in the 1980s under coach Pat Riley provides a fascinating case study in how to cultivate a culture of continuous improvement and achieve sustained success. In 1986, the Lakers were already a formidable team, boasting some of the most talented players in the NBA. However, despite their individual brilliance, they fell short of expectations in the playoffs, failing to reach the NBA Finals. This setback prompted Riley to develop an innovative system he called the Career Best Effort CBE program, designed to push each player to consistently perform at and beyond their previous best. The CBE program was revolutionary in its approach to performance measurement and improvement. It went beyond traditional statistics, incorporating a wide range of factors that contributed to a player's overall impact on the game. This comprehensive evaluation system assigned numerical values to various actions on the court, including both obvious contributions like points scored and rebounds, as well as less tangible efforts such as diving for loose balls or helping teammates on defense. What made the CBE system particularly effective was its emphasis on personal improvement rather than comparison to others. Each player's performance was measured against their own past achievements, with the goal of improving by at least 1% over the course of the season. This approach recognized that different players have different roles and strengths, and that true excellence comes from maximizing one's own potential rather than trying to emulate others. The implementation of the CBE program had a profound impact on the Lakers' performance. In the following season, they claimed the NBA championship, and they repeated this feat the next year, becoming the first team in 2 decades to win back-to-back titles. This success demonstrated the power of a systematic approach to improvement, even for a team that was already considered among the best in the league. The principles underlying the CBE program extend far beyond the basketball court. They speak to a fundamental truth about the nature of excellence and the path to mastery in any field. At its core, the program was about creating a culture of reflection, review, and continuous improvement. It provided a structured framework for players to assess their performance, identify areas for growth, and track their progress over time. This approach to performance enhancement aligns closely with the practices of top performers across various disciplines. From world-class athletes to successful business leaders, those who consistently operate at the highest levels tend to engage in regular self-reflection and performance review. These practices serve multiple purposes. They provide accountability, help identify strengths and weaknesses, and guide future efforts for improvement. Consider, for example, the routines of elite athletes like Eliud Kipchoge, one of the greatest marathoners of all time. Despite his numerous accolades, including an Olympic gold medal, Kipchoge maintains a habit of taking detailed notes after every training session. He reviews his performance, looking for even the smallest opportunities for improvement. This level of self-awareness and commitment to growth is a hallmark of true excellence. Similarly, in the world of comedy, performers like Chris Rock demonstrate the value of systematic review and iteration. When developing new material, Rock performs at small clubs dozens of times, meticulously recording audience reactions and refining his jokes based on this feedback. This process of constant refinement and adaptation is what allows him to consistently deliver top-tier performances on the biggest stages. In the business world, many successful executives and investors maintain decision journals where they record major decisions, the reasoning behind them, and their expected outcomes. By reviewing these journals periodically, they can assess the quality of their decision-making process and identify patterns or biases that may be influencing their choices. This practice not only improves their decision-making skills over time, but also provides valuable insights into their own thought processes and assumptions. These examples highlight a crucial point. Improvement is not just about forming habits, but about continuously refining and optimizing them. It's about creating a feedback loop that allows for ongoing adjustment and growth. This process of reflection and review ensures that efforts are focused on the most impactful areas and that course corrections can be made when necessary. For individuals seeking to apply these principles in their own lives, there are various approaches to implementing a system of reflection and review. One effective method is to conduct regular, structured assessments of performance and progress. This could take the form of an annual review, where one looks back on the past year's achievements and challenges, or more frequent check-ins, such as monthly or quarterly evaluations. A comprehensive review process might include questions such as: 1. What were my major accomplishments during this period? 2. Where did I fall short of my goals or expectations? 3. What new skills or knowledge did I acquire? 4. How have my habits and routines supported or hindered my progress? 5. What unexpected challenges or opportunities arose, and how did I respond to them? 6. How well did I align with my core values and long-term objectives? 7. What adjustments or changes should I make going forward? By engaging in this type of structured reflection, individuals can gain valuable insights into their own performance and development. It provides an opportunity to celebrate successes, learn from failures, and set meaningful goals for the future. Moreover, it helps to maintain a sense of perspective, allowing one to step back from the day-to-day grind and view progress over a longer time horizon. Another crucial aspect of effective reflection and review is the importance of data and measurement. The CBE program's success was largely due to its rigorous quantification of performance. While not all aspects of personal or professional development can be easily quantified, finding ways to measure progress can be incredibly powerful. This might involve tracking specific metrics related to one's goals, keeping a journal of key activities or decisions, or soliciting feedback from peers, mentors, or coaches. However, it's important to strike a balance in this regard. While data and metrics can provide valuable insights, an overly rigid focus on numbers can sometimes be counterproductive. The goal should be to use measurement as a tool for improvement, not as an end in itself. It's also crucial to choose metrics that truly reflect meaningful progress towards one's goals, rather than simply tracking what's easiest to measure. One of the most powerful benefits of regular reflection and review is its ability to reinforce and evolve one's identity. Our habits and behaviors are closely tied to our self-perception, and by consistently engaging in practices that align with our desired identity, we can strengthen and solidify that identity over time. For instance, a person who sees themselves as a healthy eater is more likely to consistently make nutritious food choices, reinforcing that identity through their actions. However, this connection between identity and habit can also present challenges. As we become more invested in a particular self-image, we may become resistant to change or criticism that challenges that identity. This can lead to a form of stagnation, where we cling to outdated methods or beliefs out of a sense of pride or fear of change. It's a phenomenon seen across various fields: the experienced teacher who refuses to adapt their methods, the veteran manager who insists on doing things their way, or the successful artist who gets stuck in a creative rut. To avoid this pitfall, it's crucial to cultivate a growth mindset, a belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. This mindset allows us to view challenges and setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than threats to our identity. It encourages us to embrace feedback, seek out new experiences, and continually push our boundaries. Incorporating this growth mindset into our reflection and review process can be transformative. Instead of simply assessing whether we've met our goals, we can ask ourselves questions like: 1. How have I challenged myself to learn and grow this period? 2. What new perspectives or ideas have I encountered, and how have they influenced my thinking? 3. Where have I stepped out of my comfort zone, and what did I learn from those experiences? 4. How can I approach my weaknesses or areas for improvement with curiosity rather than judgment? By framing our self-assessment in this way, we can maintain a sense of openness and flexibility, even as we build strong habits and a clear sense of identity. The power of reflection and review extends beyond individual performance to team and organizational success as well. The Lakers story demonstrates how a systematic approach to improvement can transform a group of talented individuals into a cohesive, high-performing team. In any collaborative environment, regular reflection can help align individual efforts with team goals, identify synergies and inefficiencies, and foster a culture of continuous improvement. For leaders and managers, implementing a reflection and review process can be a powerful tool for driving performance and engagement. This might involve regular team debriefs, where successes and challenges are discussed openly, or structured feedback sessions that allow team members to share insights and suggestions. The key is to create an environment where honest reflection is encouraged and where lessons learned are actively incorporated into future plans and processes. In conclusion, the path to sustained excellence in any field involves more than just talent, hard work, or even consistent habits. It requires a deliberate and systematic approach to improvement, one that incorporates regular reflection, review, and adjustment. By implementing such a system, whether it's as sophisticated as the Lakers CBE program or as simple as a personal journal, we can ensure that our efforts are consistently moving us towards our goals. This approach allows us to harness the power of incremental improvement, where small, consistent gains compound over time to produce remarkable results. It helps us to stay adaptable in the face of changing circumstances, to learn from our experiences, and to continuously refine our skills and strategies. Perhaps most importantly, it enables us to maintain a growth mindset, viewing every challenge as an opportunity for learning and every setback as a stepping stone to greater achievement. In a world that often celebrates overnight success and quick fixes, the value of patient, systematic improvement can sometimes be overlooked. But as the stories of the Lakers, elite athletes, successful business leaders, and countless others demonstrate, it is often this methodical, reflective approach that leads to true mastery and lasting success. By embracing the principles of reflection and review, we can unlock our full potential, push the boundaries of our capabilities, and achieve levels of excellence we might once have thought impossible. The journey of personal growth and achievement is often misconstrued as a series of grand, sweeping changes or monumental breakthroughs. However, the reality of lasting success and meaningful transformation is far more nuanced and, in many ways, more accessible than we might imagine. It's rooted in the power of small, consistent actions, what we might call atomic habits, that compound over time to produce remarkable results. Consider the ancient Greek paradox known as the Sorites paradox, which asks, can a single coin make a person rich? The obvious answer is no. But what if we add another coin, and another? At some point, we must concede that a single coin does indeed make the difference between being rich and not being rich. This same principle applies to our habits and personal development. One small change, reading a single page of a book each day, meditating for just 1 minute, or saving a tiny amount of money might seem inconsequential in isolation. However, when we commit to these small actions consistently over time, their cumulative effect can be transformative. It's not about seeking a single dramatic 1% improvement, but rather about accumulating thousands of these tiny enhancements across various aspects of our lives. The power of this approach lies in its sustainability and its ability to work with, rather than against, our natural tendencies and limitations. Grand, sweeping changes often fail because they require a level of willpower and effort that's difficult to maintain over the long term. Small habits, on the other hand, can be integrated into our daily routines with relative ease, gradually shifting the balance of our behaviors in a positive direction. This concept is particularly powerful when we consider the nature of complex systems, whether that's our personal lives, our professional endeavors, or even large organizations. In the beginning, small improvements might seem futile, their effects washed away by the inertia of the existing system. But as we continue to layer these small changes on top of one another, we eventually reach a tipping point. Suddenly, the weight of the system begins to work in our favor rather than against us. We can see this principle at work in countless success stories across various fields. Olympic athletes don't become champions overnight. They achieve greatness through years of consistent, incremental improvements in their training, nutrition, and mental preparation. Successful businesses aren't built on a single brilliant idea, but on thousands of small optimizations and adaptations over time. Even in creative fields like art or comedy, mastery comes not from sporadic bursts of inspiration, but from the daily practice of one's craft. The key to harnessing the power of atomic habits lies in understanding and applying the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. These laws provide a framework for designing our environment and routines in a way that supports positive habits and discourages negative ones. Making a habit obvious involves creating clear cues in our environment that trigger the desired behavior. This might mean placing a book on our nightstand to encourage reading before bed, or setting out our exercise clothes the night before to prompt morning workouts. By making the cues for our desired habits more prominent, we increase the likelihood of following through. Making a habit attractive is about associating it with positive emotions or rewards. This could involve pairing a challenging habit with something we enjoy, like listening to our favorite podcast while exercising or celebrating small wins along the way. When we find ways to make our habits more appealing, we're more likely to stick with them even when motivation wanes. Making a habit easy is crucial for long-term success. This often involves breaking down larger goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of committing to an hour-long workout, we might start with just 5 minutes of exercise. By lowering the barrier to entry, we make it more likely that we'll start, and starting is often the hardest part. Finally, making a habit satisfying helps ensure that we'll want to repeat it in the future. This could involve tracking our progress, sharing our accomplishments with others, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the sense of accomplishment that comes from sticking to our commitments. By applying these 4 laws, we can gradually shift our behavior patterns, making positive habits more automatic and negative habits less appealing. Over time, these small shifts can lead to significant changes in our lives. However, it's important to recognize that this process is not a one-time effort, but an ongoing journey of refinement and adaptation. Success is not a fixed destination, but a continual process of improvement. As we progress, we may need to adjust our strategies, identify new areas for growth, and continually challenge ourselves to reach higher levels of performance. This perspective on personal growth also highlights the importance of patience and persistence. In a world that often celebrates overnight success and quick fixes, the power of small, consistent actions can be easily overlooked. But it's precisely this steady, incremental approach that often leads to the most sustainable and meaningful results. Consider the compound effect of these small habits over time. Reading just 1 page a day might not seem significant, but over the course of a year, it amounts to several books. Saving a small amount of money each week might not feel impactful in the moment, but given enough time, it can grow into a substantial nest egg. These examples illustrate how small actions, when repeated consistently, can lead to outcomes that far exceed our initial expectations. One of the most powerful aspects of this approach is its ability to transform not just our actions, but our very identities. As we consistently engage in positive habits, we begin to see ourselves differently. The person who reads a page every day starts to identify as a reader. The individual who exercises regularly begins to see themselves as someone who values health and fitness. These shifts in identity can be profound, creating a positive feedback loop that further reinforces our new habits. However, it's crucial to approach identity change with flexibility and openness. While our habits can shape our identities in positive ways, clinging too tightly to a single identity can sometimes hinder our growth. For instance, an athlete who defines themselves solely by their sport might struggle when their athletic career ends. A business owner who sees themselves only as the CEO might face an identity crisis after selling their company. The key is to define our identities in ways that are both meaningful and adaptable. Instead of "I'm an athlete," we might say, "I'm someone who values physical challenge and mental toughness," rather than "I'm the CEO," we could think, "I'm someone who builds and creates." By framing our identities in terms of our values and transferable qualities, rather than specific roles or achievements, we create space for growth and adaptation. This flexible approach to identity aligns with ancient wisdom, as exemplified in the Tao teaching the hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail by remaining adaptable in our self-conception. We become more resilient in the face of life's inevitable changes and challenges. As we progress on our journey of self-improvement, it's essential to incorporate regular reflection and review into our routines. While habits allow us to perform actions without conscious thought, a generally beneficial trait, they can also lead us to overlook small errors or areas for improvement. By periodically stepping back to assess our progress, identify challenges, and refine our approach, we ensure that our habits continue to serve us well. This process of reflection might involve regular check-ins daily, weekly, or monthly, where we assess our progress towards our goals, identify what's working well and what isn't, and make necessary adjustments. It might also involve seeking feedback from others, as outside perspectives can often highlight blind spots or opportunities for growth that we might have missed. Importantly, this reflection process should be approached with a growth mindset, a belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. This mindset allows us to view challenges not as threats to our identity or evidence of our limitations, but as opportunities for growth and improvement. As we continue on this path of incremental improvement, it's important to celebrate our progress along the way. While the day-to-day changes might be small, over time they accumulate into significant transformations. By acknowledging and appreciating these changes, we reinforce our commitment to continued growth and maintain motivation for the journey ahead. It's also worth noting that this approach to personal development, focusing on small, consistent actions rather than dramatic changes, can be particularly effective in times of uncertainty or stress. When the world around us feels chaotic or overwhelming, concentrating on the small actions within our control can provide a sense of stability and progress. Moreover, the principle of atomic habits can be applied not just to individual growth, but to organizational and societal change as well. Companies can transform their culture and performance through small, consistent improvements in processes and behaviors. Communities can address complex social issues through the cumulative effect of many small, positive actions by individuals. In conclusion, the path to lasting change and meaningful achievement is rarely marked by dramatic leaps or sudden transformations. Instead, it's a journey of small steps, taken consistently over time. By focusing on creating positive atomic habits, making them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, we set in motion a process of continuous improvement that can lead to remarkable results. This approach requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to trust in the power of incremental progress. It asks us to shift our focus from immediate results to long-term growth, from dramatic changes to small, sustainable actions. But in doing so, it offers a path to success that is both more achievable and more enduring. The secret to results that last is, quite simply, to never stop improving. It's about layering one small change upon another, day after day, year after year. It's about understanding that true transformation doesn't happen overnight, but through the compound effect of countless tiny actions. In embracing this philosophy, we open ourselves to a journey of continuous growth and discovery. We free ourselves from the pressure of seeking perfect results immediately and instead find joy and satisfaction in the process of gradual improvement. And perhaps most importantly, we set ourselves on a path that doesn't just change what we do, but transforms who we are one small habit at a time.